Hello RC family. In this video, hold on, bear with me because this is my first time ever doing a voiceover, but this is my WPL C24 pickup truck. I'm going to be doing a free mod to it. I'm going to be flipping that motor to the front of the truck so it can have a little bit better weight distribution, so you could climb stuff better and things like that. Now I'm going to show you here. I tried to undo these grub screws off of the camera, and the one for the rear actually stripped, but I'm going to show you a trick to actually just flip it around without actually having to get that grub screw out. Eventually, I know I'm going to have to do it. You see that rear one is stripped. So what I'll just do is leave that half of that shaft on there and take it off from the axle, because the one on the axle is not stripped. And since the two halves that I'm going to be left over with are the ones that match, it's a perfect thing. You'll see in the end. It's a little finicky to get it out, but it comes apart really easy. Actually, WPL trucks are super easy to work with. Most of the hardware is Phillips head screws. The only hex screws on there are actually the grub screws. Everything else is a Phillips. You see? Phillips little screwdriver. I tried to do everything like showing stuff with my hands. You see, those are the 6 screws that hold everything together right there for the transmission and the motor. There's 4 screws for the transmission case and 2 screws that hold the bed on and the transmission case. The size of the truck, they flip out easily a little bit, so that you can, just enough so that you can get to the screws, which is pretty nice, so you don't have to take the whole body off. I like that. Just be careful on yours not to flex it out too much. And on the trucks from WPL that are straight chassis, you have to remove more screws, because you have to remove half of the chassis off so that you can actually do this operation. It's simple too, but you just gotta do more unscrewing. So yeah, I'm taking off the 4 screws for the transmission. Hold on a second, my buddy's coming with another forklift, so I'm gonna pause it real quick. Alright, so I'm back. I'm actually on my break at work. So I'm undoing those screws. Those are the only things that hold that thing in. You'll see it's really easy to come out. And you could probably hear the other forklift backing up. I'm actually on my break in the yard, but the other guy's not on his break yet. So I hope everybody likes my screw holder over there. That's my other WPL truck. It's the WPL D12. I use that one to do a lot of parts hauling and stuff, and hauling stuff from the grocery store to the house. So here we go. So that's the motor. You're going to have to flip the wires once you get done with this operation. I'm not going to show it in this video because it's really easy to do. Anybody that knows how to solder can unsolder that and, get that done. You'll probably get a soldering video somewhere on YouTube or on this TikTok somewhere. You see how the 2 drive shafts, the 2 halves that I left, the front half and the rear half of the drive shaft, they made it perfectly together. And that's how you flip it. Now I have to remove 2 nubs that are on the screw that holds the bed, the front of the bed. There's 2 screws, one on each side. Right there, that's the nub that I gotta remove, and then I gotta drill 2 holes in the rear part that hold that bed in place. On the straight axis, on the straight chassis trucks, you don't have to make that hole. You just got to remove the 2 nubs. Because on the straight axle trucks, they don't have, most of them don't have a bed or anything to hold on to those screws right there in that position. And I forgot to say that in the WPL trucks, they use that same transmission. All of the transmission holders have the same screws, like the mount for the transmission and the motor. It doesn't matter if it's the 2-speed or the single speed or the gear reduction unit. They all have the same holes because they all interchange. So right now I'm removing that motor and transmission out of the case so that I could drill the holes into the case and remove the nubs. I'm gonna pause it a second again because there's a truck coming down there and there's gonna be too much noise on the microphone. I'll shake some of that dirt out of there. Some other people, if you want, you could clean that up really good. I'm gonna be driving the thing in the dirt, in the mud and everything, so that little bit of dirt that came out or whatever is left in there doesn't really matter. And I'm back. So be careful with your nub removing tool. That's not a knife, TikTok. Just for, in TikTok, it's not a knife. That's a nub removing tool. Be careful shaving those nubs off. They're pretty easy to get off. You don't need to break on no grinder or nothing. Just the nub removing tool is good enough. It shaves it off real quick, real nice. So now I'm actually trying to eyeball the distance that I gotta drill the holes on the rear of it. You guys could use a tape measure if you want. I'm pretty good at measuring it with my finger and something there, but you're gonna see on the next hole it did give me a little trouble trying to get it right because the little screwdriver kept moving in my hand. And excuse that reefer trailer that just turned on in the background. So here I am marking the hole. The one side was easy. The first side was easy. The second side, I had to flip the thing back and forth like about 5 times, you'll see. But eventually I got it. It's not perfect on that side, actually. I gotta oblong the hole a little bit. Because in the end of the video, you can probably see that the bed is a little bit, maybe like 1 or 2 millimeters further away from the cab on that side than on the other side. But that's no big deal though. But since I'm like, my OCD is gonna drive me wild if I don't fix that. But eventually I'll get to it. Life is life, and you gotta do other stuff, more priorities. But I'll get to it. As soon as when I flip the motor wires around, because I didn't actually do it in this video. When I flip the motor wires around, I'll fix that too. As of now, I actually finished it. I tried to use this smaller drill bit, the smallest one in my kit, to make the holes so that the screws go in really, really tight. But the drill bit is too small for my drill. It just spins inside of the chuck. So I went to the next step up on the drill bit. Because of that, thank God it's the right. Sorry, I got cut off by my phone's low power mode, but thank God that the size up, the next size up on the drill bit is the perfect size for that screw. I just wanted it a little bit tighter, so they got some meat to grab on, and not strip further down the line. But for now, it's holding really good after I did this operation. You're gonna see that the screws they go in and they're a pain in the butt to put in, especially the ones for the bed. They kept falling out of the hole in there. doing that, I'm gonna tell you a story about this WPL truck. These little trucks, man, they're really good stuff. So this little truck was given to me by my wife about a year ago for our anniversary, actually. It's probably the most modified trail truck that I have, because I've gone all out on it as far as I could. You know, I've changed both the axles are metal, drive shafts are metal, the steering linkage is all metal. I got the Fox Shocks connector for the front links. I don't know if you could see it. It looks a little bit thicker than what you usually see on crawler rigs. What else have I done to it? I got the soft tires on the front and the hard tires in the back. I got the foam inserts that I actually made myself in the inside of the front tires, and no inserts on the back because it doesn't need them. The tires are pretty stiff. They got a lot of grip, but they're pretty stiff. I like it like that for the, you know, if I put anything heavy in the back, I don't like the tires to sag. So here we're putting the motor and transmission back in the case and getting ready to start buttoning the thing up. So I'm back. Now I'm trying to get that screw that fell out. There we go, I got it. Pain in the butt. That little screw goes in that corner right there, right by the front of the transmission case. Boom, boom, flop, flop. So putting it back together. It sucks when you drop those screws and then you got to take the thing apart to put it back on to find the screws. That actually happened to me about twice in this video. It's gonna happen again when I'm putting the bed on, the bed screw. And then I'm gonna have to remove the bed. You'll see. Now, when you do this job, you gotta make sure you remember that there's four short screws that hold the transmission case on, the black part, and then there's two longer ones that go through the tab that holds the bed and the transmission to the chassis. This is what I'm going to try and show you here. That'll be the longer screw, and then there's a smaller one. They look the same, but one of them there's two that are actually longer than the other four. So the reason that I decided to do this video is because after about 5 years of owning WPL trucks, 5 or 6 years, I actually saw that for the first time like 2 weeks ago on a short video clip. So there's not a lot of videos about this mod. It's completely free and it makes sense and it works. It does what it's supposed to do. It puts the weight toward the front of the truck, which is where you want the weight on a truck that has crawling abilities. So right now I'm trying to do the screws on the other side. And I believe it's in this part that I dropped that one screw that holds the bed on the inside. Yep, there it goes. You saw the blue tab? There's no screw there. It fell in, and it's actually right next to the motor. The magnet sucked it there, so I had to take the thing back off from the other side, and now I'm gonna pull the bed off because it's actually a little bit easier than undoing all the screws that I already done. I'm trying to find the screw, but you know, it's under there. It's under that cover. There we go. Actually, I didn't get the bed off. That's the first time. The next time I'm gonna take the bed off. You'll see. Just keep watching. It's gonna happen again on the other side after I've already done like about two or three screws. I know that I need to magnetize the tip on the screwdriver, but I didn't have a magnet to do that at the moment when I did this video. That could have saved me from this headache and the video would have been shorter. There's actually not a lot of videos on WPLs on the TikTok platform that I've seen. I don't know if you guys have seen many, but I haven't seen almost none. So next time I'm gonna be doing something to one of these rigs, I'm gonna record it again, because I think some people probably need to know all these things, and I'll be glad to help so that they can learn. But I haven't seen many WPL, especially not repair or upgrade videos on the TikTok platform. I've seen on YouTube, of course, but not on TikTok. And there's not many videos on this actual mod on YouTube either. So I might be throwing this video on YouTube if I can. I've only seen the one video that I saw from one of my good friends from overseas over there in England. That he did it years ago and I had not seen it. He did it before I even met him. Now that I'm almost done, I believe it's this screw. That screw that holds the front of the transmission case. I believe it was that one. It fell inside. Let me see. I'm watching it as you guys are watching it, and I'm doing the voiceover. Now, I actually got that one. So it's probably the next screw. I believe it is this screw that I'm about to put on right now, actually. And I'm sorry if you can hear me chewing. I'm eating some Chips Ahoy. I believe this is the screw. This is the actual screw that falls behind the thing. And yes, I knew I should have got like some kind of tweezer to hold it or needle nose pliers, but yeah, I was just winging it. I was running what I brung. I was doing it with what I had right at the moment. So I was trying to hold it with my finger instead of getting the, proper tools. Yep, there it goes. Fuck. It fell right back in there. So, nope, no shaking's gonna get it out because it's stuck to the magnet on the motor. That's the second time too. In this video, I believe it was the second time. Nope, can't grab it with the finger. Now I'm gonna try and look at it, see if I can see it. Nope, can't see it. Can't shake it out. Nope, it's out. It's stuck in there. It's stuck to the magnet on the motor. So the next step would be, the easiest step to do is to just remove the 2 bedside screws and the one on the back that holds the bed onto the chassis. There we go, with those dang bed screws again. There goes one. Here goes the next one. And then that 3rd bed screw that holds the whole thing down, basically. Then on these trucks, you gotta pull the bed back and up because it hooks into like the cab part. You'll see in a moment. Here we go. You see, it has like tabs that go into the front cab on both sides. So you pull it back and up and wiggle it. Take the top cover off. Make sure that you don't have your battery in there before you start this. I should have said that at the beginning, because the battery actually goes in that toolbox that I just flipped up. You don't want to rip the battery wire out of the board or anything. So wiggle, 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 wiggle till it comes out. There you go. Throw that out, excuse me. Throw that over there. And now, I kind of went off camera. Excuse me, this is my first time doing this. But I could see the screw there. It's actually right on the motor. There it goes right there, you see? The truck actually looks good without the bed. And it could actually run real good without the bed. But the only problem I found, I tried it before, is that it becomes too light for the suspension to flex. So you would, if you want to run it like that, like a pre-runner style, you could do it, but you have to either add weight to it, or you could actually, not pre-runner style, I mean like rock crawler style. You could add weight to it, probably, but the best thing to do would probably be to change the stock shocks and put like a lower spring rate spring on there, so that the back could flex with the less weight. So now all that's left to do is attach the rear drive shaft. You'll notice that I'm not putting any Loctite on those grub screws. I'm just gonna hand tighten them as good as I can, because the Loctite is what caused the other one to get so tight that it just stripped. It didn't matter if I put heat on it or whatever, it just stripped. So when I actually get around to changing that, I'm gonna have to cut it off. I didn't want to do it, but that's how you gotta do it. Once your grub screws get seized on there like that, there's probably no other way to do it than to cut it off. So I got my 1.5 millimeter hex driver to tighten it down. It should be good. Just tighten dry with no Loctite, because this rig, it's not like I'm gonna be flying with it anywhere, you know. It's not like a brushless setup. You know, it's not gonna be going too fast or none of that. So it should be alright. Plus, if it does get loose, you just tighten it back up. No big deal. It ain't going nowhere. Once you say it ain't going nowhere, it ain't going nowhere. Now we finagle the bed to put it back on. And make sure that the two tabs, one is on each side of the chassis, because it actually rides on the outsides. Then push it in there. Make sure you don't forget to put your back screw on the bed, the one that holds the back down, because it will break those tabs off if you go crawling and you slam the back on a rock or something and it lifts the bed up off of the chassis. It'll snap those tabs on the front. I'm sorry about the chewing, folks, but these Chips Ahoy is delicious, man. Here we are, just buttoning up the last screw all the way toward the rear of the transmission case. I'm looking it over. I still hadn't realized that I didn't put that back bed screw on. But I'll get it on there. I told you before. I promise. It'll be on there before the video's over. Bouncy. Now we're about to fix this thing that was broken last year. I broke it going over a little log. When the truck came down, the window actually flipped open because something inside the bed pushed it out, and it caught onto the log on the way down, and the rest was over. So It broke one of the hinges. And this is what I'm going to fix it. Crazy glue for $1 from Dollar Tree. It's actually $1.50, sorry. It's not $1 anymore, Dollar Tree. But we got it done. So just drop a couple of drops. I'm gonna drop a couple of drops of crazy glue in there. And I know that this has happened to quite a few guys that have C24s. It's an easy fix though. And this whole top for this truck is actually really cheap. It's probably like about $4 on the website for a WPL. If you want to replace the whole top, or if you want to add that top to something else, they sell it on WPLRC.com, the official store. There we go. It's fixed. Ready to go back on the truck in like seconds, because that stuff dries quick. Don't get any of that on your fingers, children, or ladies and gentlemen. If you do, don't touch your fingers together, because they will be bonded real quick. We'll put the top back on. And that was, I think, when I put the bed screw on. See, now the motor is toward the front. All the weight from the motor is going to be at least 60% toward the front instead of toward the rear. When you're crawling over stuff, you don't want weight in the rear. You want it in the front.